Have you ever felt like hitting a wall when learning a complex concept? You've been doing fine, you've been studying, progressing on your journey as a student, but at some point you just hit a wall. Stay tuned, because this week I'm going to teach you how to learn any complex subject. The current educational system is designed to place students on a bell curve, a normal distribution curve. And that's a reminiscence from the Industrial Revolution. Sometimes called factory-based education model, this framework is heavily focused on performance-oriented goals. We often start at the foundation, and we start learning these foundational building blocks of knowledge, and we can often move forward to the next block of educational chunks whenever we hit a threshold of roughly 70%. That's what we see in traditional schools nowadays. And when building on top of the knowledge that you just acquired, you can often move to the third layer, fourth, and so forth layer of knowledge blocks whenever you hit the threshold of 70%. But we've realized that we can only do this to a certain point. After some years of stacking that knowledge gap on top of each other, that's when we hit that wall. As pointed out by the Khan Academy, that's extremely absurd if put into perspective. Imagine trying to build a house like that. You give the contractor a specified time frame, let's say 2 weeks, and they have to build the foundation of that house within that time frame. And then after 2 weeks, you'll notice that the contractor only finished 70% of the foundation. And you say, yep, that's good enough, let's build the first floor. And after you've been through 70% of the first floor, you say exactly the same thing. Yeah, that's good enough. Let's do the second floor. We can clearly see where this is going, right? And that's the same for complex subjects and complex concepts. Of course, educational frameworks are much more complex than this simple analogy, but its difficulty shouldn't move us away from discussing it. Benjamin Bloom formally introduced the concept of master-based learning in 1968, and nowadays we can see it being executed by fantastic institutions such as Khan Academy, Edutopia, and Launch School. According to Launch School, at the core, master-based learning heavily relies on two principles. Remove all of the time barriers when learning something, and only move to the next topic after you've achieved a level of mastery on that specific subject. The concepts at the root of this learning tree are called atomic concepts, and they're the building blocks of every complex subject. And the blocks on level 2, level 3, and so forth are called compound concepts. By structuring curriculum in such a way, you allow students to move at their own pace, and you almost guarantee that complex subjects will be understood in their totality. Last week, we started to develop Maker Starter Kits at the Makerspace at work. That's part of an onboarding process of a new member, and it's a way of showing them the ropes and helping them learn how to navigate this world. We approach this onboarding process through the lenses of working on a project, a Danish tool for woodworking, for example. We're trying to ensure that the atomic concepts are presented and introduced through selective exposure of tools and methods. So for instance, if you know how to mark, if you know how to use a saw, and if you know how to use a mortise chisel, you can easily make a lap joint. And by mastering these 3 atomic principles, you've just added one compound principle to your toolkit. You have a joint now, and you can make a lot of different things with that. And by mixing these atomic concepts and these compound principles, you're only constrained by your creativity when it comes to making something new. That's it for this week. I hope you got a clear understanding of what mastery-based learning is, and would love to hear your take on this topic. And as always, see you next week.